50 Cent is, without a doubt, one of the most iconic and respected rappers in the hip-hop world. He's come a long way from being unknown to being one of the most successful in the rap business. His rise to stardom and fame has not been an easy one. As they say, there's no gain without some pain. 50 Cent has found himself in some pretty challenging situations in time past. From his shaky upbringing to how he survived an attempt on his life back in the year 2000. These challenges only served as a stepping stone as he went on to build a successful music empire. The will to live and succeed has made him one of the most respected rappers in the hip-hop world. 50 Cent, whose real name is Curtis Jackson, was born in the Southside Jamaica neighborhood of Queens. From a young age, he's been involved in the world of crime. He had aspirations to become a professional boxer, and at the age of 11, he began boxing. But life had other plans for him. When he was around the age of 12, he was already on the streets hustling and trying to make ends meet. He had looked to a business venture which could bring in quick money, and selling of hard drugs fitted that description. Although it was a risky business, it brought in enough money and he was able to afford a lot of things that he wanted. At that time, he was living with his grandmama because his mother had passed away when he was only 8 years old. His mother, who had him at the age of 15, had also dealt in narcotics to ensure their survival. When he was in the 10th grade, 50 Cent got into trouble with the law for the first time. He had been trying to smuggle guns and drug money into his school, but the metal detectors had gone off and exposed him. For this incident, he was arrested. Concerning the arrest, he had said this in an interview: "I was embarrassed that I got arrested like that. After I got arrested, I stopped hiding it. I was telling my grandmother openly I sell drugs." I believe this revelation would have come as a shock to his grandmother, who had no idea that her grandchild was involved in the world of drugs. But this run-in with the authorities wasn't enough to stop 50 Cent from his drug peddling. He was not ready to give up on the business giving him good money, even if it meant he was finna still get into trouble.
Icon. Now, 50 Cent is one of the hottest rappers in the industry, and he isn't afraid to say anything about anybody. It's one of the reasons why people try to stay as far away from him as possible. Like many other rappers, 50 grew up pretty involved in the hood life too.
In 1994, he was again in trouble with the law. He was arrested for selling cocaine to an undercover police officer. 3 weeks later, he was arrested again after police searched his home and found some hard drugs and a pistol. After his arrest, he was sentenced to 3 to 9 years in prison. He was either serving the long sentence in jail or going to a boot camp where he could serve a lesser term. Like you guessed, he was sent to boot camp where he only served for 6 months. The boot camp also had a drug treatment program in which he was supposed to spend about 18 months. He ended up spending 22 months due to his refusal to admit he wasn't also using the drugs he was caught with. He never used the drugs he sold, but no one was ready to believe that. The officials running the drug treatment program thought he was not making progress by not admitting to his drug usage. When he got out, he adopted the name 50 Cent. This name was inspired by Kelvin Martin, who was a crook in Brooklyn and went by the name 50 Cent. He had chosen the name because he felt the name described who he was as a person. In his own words, he had said he chose it because it says everything I wanted to say. I'm the same kind of person 50 Cent was. I provide for myself by any means.
But everybody knows that once you choose the hood life, you just can't really let it go. In 1994, 50 got arrested for selling drugs to an undercover cop, and 3 weeks later, he was arrested again for possession of hard drugs and firearms.
Started taking rap seriously, and in '96, one of his homies introduced him to Jam Master Jay from Run DMC. 50 already knew how to rap, but Jay taught him how to turn his bars into full songs. They made a record together that never came out. Then, 50 left Jay and signed a deal with Columbia Records. Some people in the industry knew about him, but 50 took it to the next level and he dropped the track, How to Rob. On the song, he went after some of the biggest artists in the game and described how he would rob them. And out of nowhere, 50 was getting responses from legends like Jay-Z, Big Pun, DMX, Wu-Tang, and more. These days, it's common for rappers to blow up off of one track on social media, but back then, it was a lot harder to get any buzz on your name. And when 50 got responses from some of the biggest rappers in the world, it proved that he had the skills to take over the industry.
It was after his son was born that 50 actually started taking his life seriously, especially the rap game.
However, there were rumors of multiple contracts on his life. He reflects on the cheapness of life where he grew up, where someone could be killed for as little as $5,000. On May 24, 2000, his life changed forever when he was targeted in a shooting. He was at his grandma's place in the morning, getting ready to go to the tattoo shop and then to the recording studio around 11:20 a.m. He hopped into a friend's car, but was asked to go back inside to grab some jewelry. When he returned to the car and got in, another car pulled up, and someone with a gun approached him from the left side. He was sneaky, just like Allen Iverson dodging defenders, 50 recalls. The gunman fired 9 shots at close range. 50 got hit in the hand, hip, calf, chest, and face. Despite the pain, he didn't feel each bullet because of the adrenaline rush. They drove away, threw the gun in a sewer, and headed to the hospital. Remarkably, he stayed conscious and talked the whole time. A few weeks later, the shooter was killed, but 50 denies any involvement. He spent 13 days in the hospital and then used a walker to get around. 6 weeks later, he could walk on his own. He started valuing life more and worked hard to improve his body with lots of push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. This changed his body from being somewhat fat to being very muscular. After the shooting, he had a big square hole in the left side of his lower jaw and a bullet fragment in his tongue. He also lost a bottom tooth and a piece of his gums. But these injuries gave him a unique way of speaking, which he thought improved his voice for rapping. He said, "When I talk now, it sounds different because of the air around the missing tooth. Getting shot actually improved my voice." The story of his shooting spread, making him seem legendary and almost invincible. However, when his record label Columbia found out, they dropped him. He was unsure if the music industry would ever accept him again. In January 2001, he started working at Shaw Money XL's studio every day, making songs for underground mix CDs. He released 5 albums worth of material in a few months, which was more than any other rapper had done before.
However, he still had one foot in the streets, and it was only a matter of time before somebody put a hit out on him because of the things he was saying and doing.
Eminem said, "I thought, this guy got shot, got back up, and is still talking big. He came back stronger than ever. That made me stop and think." This relentless work ethic and his ability to bounce back from adversity caught the attention of Eminem, who recognized 50 Cent's talent and authenticity. Eminem flew 50 Cent out to Los Angeles for a meeting, where he expressed his belief in 50 Cent's potential. Eminem saw in 50 Cent the same aura and realness that had been missing since the deaths of Tupac Shakur and Biggie. He looked past any concerns outside of music and signed 50 Cent to a joint label deal. This partnership with Eminem and Dr. Dre propelled 50 Cent's career to new heights. In 2003, 50 Cent released his major label debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying. The album's gory and brilliant storytelling, combined with 50 Cent's unique voice and authenticity, struck a chord with audiences. It sold a staggering 2.1 million copies in its first 3 weeks, solidifying 50 Cent's status as the biggest new star of the year. The album's first single, In the Club, produced by Dr. Dre, went platinum in just over a week. Despite achieving superstardom, 50 Cent's success has come at a price. The threats to his life at the time did not subside, and he faced challenges from old rivals and enemies. While some have suggested that it's other rappers who are trying to kill him, 50 Cent believes that the hatred stems from his old competitors in the crack dealing world. The gangsters don't like that he does whatever he wants, moving around the country, making money, and becoming a motherfucking star. The people who dislike him have nothing to lose, and their unease about still being on the bottom fuels their desire to see him fall. To protect himself, 50 Cent got through those days in bulletproof trucks, always accompanied by a team of 4 to 6 bodyguards. He walked through streets and doors, never refusing to stop for an autograph or a photo request, even if it exposed him to danger. His confidence remained unshaken, and he believed that his reputation and financial success were enough to protect him and his loved ones. He trusts that those who wish him harm know the consequences of targeting his family and understand the potential repercussions.
Despite not liking a lot of rap artists in the industry, 50 Cent is one of the few that Eminem actually respects, not only as a musician, but as a person too. Eminem helped him get back into mainstream rap.
50 Cent claims that he knew Ja Rule from way back, since he grew up close to his neighborhood. They were never friends, but they knew about each other. Very important to notice, they had a common friend, a guy by the name of Lil Troy. Lil Troy became famous in the hood because he robbed Ja Rule back in the day, and that incident kicked off a series of events that would ultimately lead to Ja and 50 coming at each other, little by little. See, Troy got out the joint, and as soon as he got back to the streets, he went to holler at Ja Rule. He heard a rumor that someone slept with his girl, and he wanted to clear the air out. Apparently, he threatened Ja with a burner, told him to give him his chain. Ja Rule knew Troy, and he didn't want any trouble, so he gave him his chain, and nothing more came of that incident. A guy by the name of Kenneth McGriff, aka Supreme, later returned him his chain, and everything was chill. However, sometime after that robbery incident, Ja would stumble across 50 Cent in the club, and 50 was around Troy. Because of that, 50 believes that Ja felt some type of way and grew cold towards him. In a 2003 documentary, 50 Cent explained the whole situation. He said,
"A friend of mine's robbed Ja Rule. And I'm in a club And I see the nigga, I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, I'm chilling. He see me kicking it with the nigga that robbed him, and he feel like, oh shit, I shouldn't speak to this dude, because I know the kid robbed him, but I know this kid, I grew up with him.
But Ja Rule believes that 50's side of the story just doesn't add up. According to Ja, 50 Cent just used this incident to his advantage, nothing more. He wasn't involved in any kind of way, and what happened between Lil Troy and Ja had nothing to do with 50. Ja talked with DJ Vlad and said that 50 was desperate for some attention, and then he just used that story in order to sell his image and get involved with Ja, even if it meant starting a beef. While 50 was recovering from the wounds that almost took his life, Ja Rule was making a name for himself in the music industry. He topped the music charts, and one of the collaboration tracks as well as his Pain Is Love album both earned Grammy noms in 2001. People believe that Ja had nothing to fear and that 50 would never reappear in the music scene again. Think about how confident and secure Ja was around 2001. His album debuted at #1, his enemy was now anonymous, shot 9 times and not dissing him anymore. There was practically no way he would ever have to worry about him again. But that couldn't be further. The suspicions came in that they were agent supreme in his money laundering scheme. And slowly things went down for Murder Inc. They got decimated by the competition, and finding a way back was hella difficult. Murder Inc. stopped getting calls from major players in the game since everyone knew that having them on stage was nothing but a liability. They were to pull up to a music show at the time, it meant that 50 or Eminem wouldn't come through, and that was a big no. Shady Records was putting up big boy numbers, and they moved the music industry of the 2000s. Everyone wanted them on, and that meant that Ja Rule, Irv Gotti, and pretty much anyone else had to take a seat. Ja Rule went on several interviews and openly admitted that plenty of things came together at the right time for 50. They pretty much crumbled for him and his team, and they took a big L back then. One fan comment goes, he doesn't have to admit it. Everybody and their mother knows Ja took that L. 50's Get Rich or Die Trying became one of the most successful albums of all time, and it completely shadowed Ja Rule's music that came just a few years earlier. Even though Ja and 50 made several more diss tracks after that insane commercial success of 50's music, their beef was never that influential, nor did it get the same type of attention as it did before. Nonetheless, it's generally believed that 50 came out on top, as his success was far beyond anything that Ja Rule ever came up with, especially long-term.
There was a time when J. Rule decided to cross 50, and 50 made sure J. Rule's career came to an end from there on out. Surprisingly, J. Rule isn't as famous as he used to be.
Entertainment, Suge Knight was a force to be reckoned with, using intimidation like a blunt instrument in his business dealings. Legend has it that he once made a rival executive strip down in a restroom, parading him naked through his own company's offices. Talk about a power move and a serious case of workplace awkwardness. Even in more casual situations, the air around Knight crackled with a sense of threat. During talks with entertainment bigwigs, there was always a subtle reminder of the muscle behind the man, like the time his bodyguard casually flashed a gun during a negotiation. Nothing says let's make a deal like a holster accessory. In this world where power ruled, Knight wielded his influence like a mighty scepter. He'd make executives wait for hours without a peep of protest and conveniently forget about money owed to producers. The fear of his wrath kept tongues tied and law enforcement at bay, allowing questionable practices to slide under the radar. Now, nothing said you are about that life than going against Suge. That is exactly what 50 did. In a video on Math Hoffa's channel, some of 50 Cent's friends discussed how the hip-hop scene changed over time, becoming more dangerous. They talked about needing more security, especially after an incident involving Suge Knight during the Da Club music video shoot in the early 2000s. They used to be relaxed, but things got serious quickly. They had to be very cautious, wear bulletproof vests, and drive in armored cars, showing how their lifestyle changed because of the increased risks linked to being associated with 50 Cent.
But really changed, you know what I'm saying? Like how we was moving, you know what I'm saying? Like we was in some like we had to move like the military, you know what I'm saying? Bulletproof vests, bulletproof cars, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we didn't really have to worry about that before him, you know what I'm saying? But so the shit really got street shit.
After he started Death Row Records with Dr. Dre back in the 90s, he used violence and fear to run the entire West Coast. Eventually, Dre got tired of all the drama and split off to make his Aftermath label. Suge was gonna let the betrayal go, and he rolled up on 50 with about 30 goons after he signed with Dre. At the video shoot for In the Club, everyone started freaking out because Suge was pulling up with a massive crew. Suge is allegedly involved with the deaths of Biggie, Pac, and is in prison right now for running over a dude in his truck and killing him. But he still couldn't make 50 back down. 50 stood his ground and just asked Suge, "What's up, man? What you want to do?" According to Bizarre from D12, Suge just stood there and took a puff of his cigar. Then he motioned with his hand to let his crew know it's time to leave, and he pulled off without saying a word. There's a rumor that 50 ran into Suge and pulled an Uzi on him, but there's no evidence to back it up. But even if 50 didn't point a gun at him, he made it clear that he's not afraid of a dude that most people would run away from.
What really makes 50 Cent the most feared rapper of all time is the fact that he went up against the biggest villain in the rap industry, Suge Knight, and walked away alive.